Okay, well, here we are, live for the first time ever in the history of STS. We're going live on LinkedIn and live on YouTube. So forgive us if this is a bit hickledy-pickledy or whatever the expression you want to use. We've never done this before, so we're going to give it a go. And hopefully the content of what we're going to share today is of interest. And we'd very much value any comments afterwards if you've got any ideas of other topics we could talk about. And anything else you would like to understand about our products or about STS. So my name's Vince, by way of introduction, and I've worked for the company here at STS for many years. Currently work for STS as a marketing manager, but have worked in sales and technical sales for many years here. So I've worked with many customers, architects, specifiers, contractors. So understand the product a little bit in any case. So that's me. Over to you, Joel.
Thanks, yeah. And as for me, I'm equally nervous doing our first LinkedIn Live, LinkedIn and YouTube, is it today?
Yes, sorry, you caught me mid-sip there. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So, my name's Joel, and I've been with STS for a number of years now, working in the sales and technical department. I most often work with the merchants or the contractors that we deal with. Especially when it comes to the render side of things, which we're going to be speaking about for a few minutes today.
Fantastic. Okay, so we thought, didn't we, Joel, that we've never done one of these before, so we thought, well, let's go out there and have a look at speak to some of the users of our product and some of our customers and ask them what they would like to get out of an event like this and what they would like to hear talked about. So the topic today is all about render and about our boards being used as a render carrier board. And we've got a lot of questions back. So we thought to kick off, we would go through those questions, answer them, and hopefully there's some useful content in there for everybody. I think the first question we've got here today, Joel, is what is fibre cement? So I think most people would know, and certainly some of the viewers will know that our product is a fibre cement board, but I think there's lots of different types of board out there, aren't there? So there's actually two parts to this question. It's really what is fibre cement and what is the benefit of fibre cement over against other products, boards available out on the market. Do you want to take that one, John?
Yep, I can try. It can be confusing with the different types of construction board, all the different names and brands and shapes and sizes and all that kind of thing. When it comes to construction boards, you've got obviously the fibre cement, which is what we specialise in. Other ones you may have heard are the cement particle, which you can't really confuse with fibre cement because they are very different. You've got cement aggregate, you've got MGO. There's a lot of different manufacturers or ways of producing construction boards, and over the years we believe that fibre cement is probably the most durable and heavy duty board currently out there. Fibre cement is really simple in terms of the contents or the composition of the board. You've got four key ingredients. You've got sand, you've got Portland cement, and you've got organic fibres, and you've got water. That is literally it, as simple as that. It's such a simple sort of composition of board, but the combination of those ingredients really results in a very durable, heavy-duty construction board. So much so it can be used in many different areas. Now, that there would be fibre cement boards out there that aren't made to the same specification as ours, so wouldn't necessarily cover all the different applications. But the STS board is widely used internally and externally. We're obviously going to be speaking more about the render side of things today, but other than render, it's often used in areas of tile backing. It's used in fire protection. We've done some really exciting tests on passive fire protection, that kind of thing recently. And we can share some more details on that on another session. And also sound reduction. It's a fantastic product to use with sound reduction, with it being very dense. It's a brilliant product to use for many different applications, internally and externally. But I will say that not all fibre cement boards can be used in the different applications, so it's worth checking before you go down that route. But Vince, I think you've got a little table there with some of the other, the STS board against some of the other popular boards out there. Have you? You run through that?
Yeah, I have actually, Joel. I'll just pull that up here. So I'm not going to go through every little detail on this sheet, but this is just, I guess, the top sort of 5 types of boarding solution out there that people often ask us about. So you've got obviously the STS fibre cement boards, or the construction boards as they're known as, and then you've got the MgO, magnesium oxide, cement particle, cement aggregate, and plasterboard. Now, we're aware that plasterboard is never used externally as a render carrier, but we do often get the question, how does your board compare with plasterboard? So on the left-hand side, you've got all the kind of attributes, I guess you'd call them, or the areas where our board stands out, and particularly with the first one on there as an A1 fire rated board. So as you can see there, the only other boards that really offer you some kind of fire rating is MgO and cement aggregate. Now, plasterboard, you'll see, has got a cross and a tick there, and that's largely because obviously you can get some fire rated plasterboards, but you have to get a specialist board. As you go down that left-hand side, you'll see things like weatherproof, water resistant, strong and heavy duty. And these are all really important features for an external render carrier board. So they're really features that stand out with the STS Construction Board. And MgO will offer you some of that. They will offer you some weather proofing, they'll offer you some water resistance, and they'll offer you some heavy-duty structural properties as well. However, what they won't be able to offer you is the 100% recyclable or guaranteed chloride-free. Whereas with the fibre cement, they've got no harmful materials in them. So any waste on a site, so if you've got some offcuts, they can go straight into your standard skip. You don't have to pay for them to be disposed of or add them to a special gypsum sort of disposal unit. They're really easy to get rid of the waste of fibre cement boards, which is why we put on there 100% recyclable. So they can be disposed of easily. Some other really key features of fibre cement is the pull-out strength. So as Joel's talked about, the composition of the board, what it's made up of, is very simple, but it offers a really robust and strong product. So for fixing into, for pull-out strengths and pull-through strengths, you won't get much stronger than a fibre cement board. Is that fair to say, Joel?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things we do get feedback about is the fact that because the composition of fibre cement is so sort of clean, as it were, it's just with the 4 key ingredients, you don't get any mesh content within the board. Some of the products are reinforced by like 2 or 3 layers of mesh. You don't get that with the fibre cement. And also, as Vince touched on before, with zero gypsum. In fact, on the gypsum side of things, we were doing some testing the other day, and some sort of indicative results that have come through are suggesting that fibre cement, in some cases, have a up to 70% smaller carbon footprint than some of the gypsum products, which is massively important right now. And yeah, we're involved in some pretty large projects just based on the fact of the key benefits we discussed this morning, including the zero gypsum. So no, it's good.
That's good. The other thing that I just pull that sheet back up again here. The other thing that I just mentioned is the good thermal mass. That is something that fibre cement will offer that virtually no other construction type material boards out there will offer. That's again due to its density, due to its composition, what it's made of, but it does offer really high thermal mass. So if you are looking to create a property with either good heating or cooling, this is a great product for that. I suppose what we're really saying, isn't it, Joel? And we've talked about that. You've talked about the different uses of the board other than render. We often refer to it as it's really one board with multiple applications. So whilst today we're focusing on render, and absolutely the product is amazing for render, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a second, it can be used for multiple applications. So you might use it as render, but it has the added benefit of being fire rated or chloride free, or offering you less carbon footprint or a really good thermal mass. That makes sense?
That's good.
So I guess we're on to the next question, John. Which is, can you apply all render types to your board? Go for it. It's a question we often get asked, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We do get asked it literally all the time. And we like to work with render manufacturers. As you can see on the screen behind me, there's probably about 10 different companies we work with now. In fact, fairly exciting week for us, because just this week we've had the approval from the guys at EWI Store for their EWI Pro system, which is fantastic. There we go. And also the SMET building products in Northern Ireland, another manufacturer of a render system. So that takes our render company approval up to, I think it's 10. And we've got plenty more coming down the pipeline as well. So it's really exciting. But I suppose linking with that question, we do often get asked, can I render onto your board with a sand and cement render that I make myself? Which is quite an interesting question. So as a render, our board will accept a sand and cement base render, simply because it's a cement product itself, so it's going to bond well. Often where a render board's being requested on a project, it will be a lot of the time for timber or metal frame, steel frame. And those types of construction are actually susceptible to more sort of movement than a traditional bricks and mortar kind of construction type would be. So you have to be very careful with using cement-based renders, simply because with it being cement, they set solid. So there's the risk of any movement working through to the surface and appearing as cracks on the surface is higher. So in most instances, we would recommend a thin coat or silicon-based render system, as you can see the logos of the companies we work with behind me. Simply because it's silicon-based, it is so much more forgiving to movement, so much more flexible. So it's kind of, I don't know if that answers the question on sand and cement. But the other thing, I suppose, with a sand and cement render, you're mixing it there most of the time, on site. There's no way of actually guaranteeing that product, because there's no way of telling it, mix consistency, that kind of thing. It's a bit of a minefield, basically. But that's not to say that you can't use it in any circumstances. So, if you're filling in a window or a door or something, a small project like that, then sand and cement render may be the answer, may be absolutely fine. But it's definitely worth getting in touch with either a render company or get in touch with ourselves, and we can help you or point you in the right direction before you start on the project.
That's really useful, Joel, to just touch on the use of sand and cement render. I was just going to say, we do often, one of the calls we often get around using sand and cement render with our boards is actually about can I patch up a door or a window? And in most instances, that's absolutely fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can always give us a call if you want to discuss that specific project or part of a project, and we can advise you the best way to minimize the risk of any cracking should there be movement. The other thing I was just thinking, which just to bolster your point about the timber frame, one thing, we do live in the UK here, so we could have 30 degrees one day and then snow the next. So one thing you have got to bear in mind is that timber is susceptible to movement with moisture and drying out. So if you do happen to have a timber frame structure that's gone up on a very dry day, and then the timber's ultimately very dry, and then it gets very moist, and then you put the render board on the outside and the heating goes on in the house once you're all done, and that then will cause movement in that timber frame, which will then be transferred to the board and to the render on the outside. So sand and cement for larger projects is not recommended, is it? But a silicon thin coat system is perfect.
Yeah, as I say, it's worth, if there's any questions or any doubt before you're starting, just give us a call. We like to be fairly accessible by phone or email. So yeah, absolutely, give us a call and chat it through, and we'll try and help you where we can.
That's good. Another question that came in, Joel, was about the render manufacturers and approvals, which you've kind of covered off, haven't you, with the fact that we've got Weatherby and EWI Pro, K-Rend, SMET, Atlas, trying to think who else there is, EcoRend, Mapai, Baumit. There's a whole host, isn't there? And we're constantly working with new providers of render to make sure that our board is approved. Could you just touch on the EWI side of things, so external wall insulation side of things, because we have got some approvals for that as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. That's something a bit more recent that we've been working on the EWI side. Obviously, there've been various government grant schemes, to promote the better insulating of homes, and feedback we've had over the past sort of months and years is that due to the very good sort of pull-out strengths that we've had for fixings, our board is a perfect board to use within that system, within the EWI system. And yeah, we are working. We just had BBA approval with, I think it's the guys at K Systems, for their EWI system. And yeah, no, it's really exciting. There's loads going on at the moment, and I can see external wall insulation as a big part of the future of render carrier boards.
That's really interesting. Thanks, Joel. It's exciting to be working with these other companies, isn't it, and be part of their system build-up, which is brilliant.
Yep.
So let's have a look, see what the next question that we got asked was, quite a big one, I guess, for many at the moment, is do you have available stock for immediate dispatch? I guess there's a lot of trepidation, worry in the industry, isn't there, around stock and whether you can get it quickly or whatever. Could you just talk around the stock situation, Joel, with our product, with the 12mm construction board?
Yeah, well, it has been a difficult period throughout the obviously the effects that COVID have had on demand of construction materials, and also we've had Brexit on top of that, and then we've had delays with ships trying to do 3-point turns in the Suez Canal. Which, everything seems to have a big knock-on effect, and we've had our fair share of challenges this year as well. First part of this year, stock situation was very much hand to mouth, and we did have to sort of take some pretty drastic action with regards to that. But obviously, there is always a bit of a lag in our response to actually, goods in coming through the door. But having said that, stock currently is we've got massive levels of stock here in Leeds ready for immediate dispatch. We've got thousands of boards ready to go out either into the merchants direct to site, however is best for our client base. But yeah, no, it's really good at the moment with stock, and we've got a good couple of months worth on the ground, with more coming in on a rolling basis. Hopefully
that's good.
Confidence.
Yeah, it's certainly a nice position to be in currently, isn't it, with the stock? Just to be clear, we've got stock of both sizes of our boards. So we do our 12mm boards, obviously the 12mm thick. We do them in an 8x4 sheet or 1200 by 2.4, which is the most popular size sheet, isn't it, for render? But we also do it in an 800 by 1200 sheet as well. So if you're doing dormer cheeks and areas that require smaller boards, they're absolutely ideal for that, or bay windows, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the other thing is, sorry, Vince, the other thing which, watch your space on, but we're actually getting our 9mm boards approved, going through testing at the moment, and it's looking like they're coming out good as well. So that'll be another option that we've got in stock ready to go as well. 9mm render board in both sizes.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's exciting times. So next question is around the installation. There's actually a couple of questions that have come in, which we'll try and tie together. So one is, do you have a render installation guide? And the other one is, what do you recommend for fixings? Is there a recommended fixing that you use for fixing your board? So we've got a couple of things, haven't we, there? We absolutely have a render installation guide. So if anybody has a specific requirement, or wants to read through that, either direct message us on LinkedIn, or you can email in at sales@sts-uk.com, and that will be, we're able to email that to you pretty quickly. But regarding the fixing method, we do have a specific fixing, don't we, Joel? We have our own screw. Do you want to talk around that a little bit? Just explain what that is, and you've got some there, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So traditionally, we would recommend using either stainless steel or suitably coated screw for external use. And what we often recommend with a 12mm board is our 38mm screw. So yeah, we've got the Sember, I don't know if you can see that, but we've got the Sember external render board screw that we call it. It's a very high grade external screw. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a self-drilling tip and a self-countersinking head, 38mm screw, and it's rust burt coated, which is a very high grade external coating for the screws. And yeah, we've done some tests, and we're really excited about this fixing, to be honest, because just practical tests we've been doing with sort of, fixing to battens and that kind of thing. It can be the difference of fixing 10 or 15mm from the edge down to literally 5mm from the edge by using the right screw. Have we got some sound issues here?
Seems to have stopped now for some reason.
Yeah, technology does seem to do that. But yeah, no, it is a brilliant screw. We've had some fantastic feedback. But yeah, if you've got any questions on how to fix it, because obviously this fixing won't be suitable for every application, of course. Obviously, if you got the external wall insulations, there's specific companies we work with on their fixings. But yeah, just give us a shout if there's any questions on that.
That's good, Joel. And those screws certainly have been a big help, haven't they, for render board installers, because they're fast to install, and they do pull back in nice and flush into the board, so you don't catch your trowel on as you're putting on the base coat. So it's a mesh. That does help. Yeah. Staying on that whole installation side of things, Joel, and the installation guide we have. One of the questions we often get asked, isn't it, is what is a typical build-up for a silicon thin coat render system? Is there a typical build-up? Obviously, I think people realise that every manufacturer of render might have a slightly varied, different type of primer or base coat or mesh or top coat. But is there a basic build-up that's used with silicon thin coat?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, before you install, it's always best to refer to the render manufacturer. The one I've actually got one just behind me here, where this is from the guys at K-Rend, where they've got a bit of a demonstration model onto one of our construction boards. This is the 12mm construction board, and you've got so yeah, really simple system, very thin, as it's known as a thin coat system. So you've got your base coat, which applies onto straight direct to the board, and then you embed like this render mesh onto the embed the render mesh into the base coat, and then you've got a primer. Generally, this primer is the same color as the top coat, so just so that nothing shows through the top coat from the base coat. So in this case, it's like an off-white. You got an off-white primer, and then you got an off-white top coat, which literally just goes straight on the top, and that is literally a matter of millimeters thick. Often what they say is you don't really want the render system on the outside to be thicker than the board itself. So yeah, but that's just a popular build-up, and that's K-Rend's system, and the very very much the like, whichever system you go for.
That's good. Sounds like you've got your mouse back in your room there, giving us some interference. But yeah, that's good. So it's a really simple build-up, isn't it? Just literally STS Construction Board, straight on top with the base coat and mesh, onto it with a coloured primer, straight on top of that with the silicon thin coat system. So very basic build up. Now, as Joel mentioned, it's always best to give either ourselves a quick call or give your the render manufacturers a quick call or go on their website and just double check, because certain render manufacturers will recommend, for example, they'll recommend double meshing over stress points around windows or door openings. So it's always good to just double check what the render manufacturer recommends. Excuse me. Often the render manufacturers give a guarantee, don't they, Joel? So they'll give a 25-year guarantee or whatever. And it is important to follow their installation guidelines.
I think that is an important point, and it's, we stress it with any of our systems really. If you want the guarantee, you really need to follow the system, because that's how we've tested it. That's what we've put our guarantee against. So yeah, it's good point.
That's really good. And I'm not sure there's anything else, Joel, that you've got to mention. I think we've covered off the basics, and we wanted to keep today, didn't we? Reasonably short. We're trying to keep it within half an hour, on 26 minutes, I think, at the moment. So we want to keep it reasonably short and concise. Hopefully give the viewers of this, both live and afterwards, some content that they can go through and understand a little bit about the fibre cement boards that we offer. So unless you've got anything else to add, have you at all today?
No, the only thing that springs to mind that I do get asked on quite a regular basis is how's the best way to cut the boards.
Yeah, valid point. Yeah.
So yeah, because often with it being a very dense board, very very hard board, you need to make sure you got the right cutting equipment for it. I mean, yeah, you can, if it's a small job, you can get away with using like a tungsten tip score and snap knife. You'd probably struggle with a Stanley knife, go through about 10 blades per cut. But we also do the PCD blades, don't we, Vince?
Yeah.
Really popular.
Yeah, it's a good blade. Go on.
No, I just they've got a lot fewer teeth than some of the multi-purpose blades. They fit into a sort of circular saw or whatever. So that keeps the blade cool, and the teeth are polycrystalline diamond tipped. I think I've got the word right.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it just keeps the dust down, keeps the blade cool, cuts the board really nice and clean. We do a couple of different sizes, and just fits nicely into most of the sort of standard size circular saws. And if you're doing any volume of boards, you're really best sort of investing in a decent blade for it, for the finish of the cut, and also for longevity. So you will get a lot of cuts out of one blade.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I've heard of instances where people have used just a multi-purpose blade in their circular saw, and that they've hit a fibre cement board with it, and you might get 10 cuts out of it, but if you're doing it in a large job and you're having to cut the whole side of a 2.4 sheet, you really want something that's made for the job. The other key thing, isn't it, with PCD blades, is they do keep the dust down. So if you're on a site and dust is an issue, which it most often is on a site, obviously you need to wear the correct PPE, your gloves, your goggles, and your breathing mask or your mask, but it will keep that dust down massively compared with a standard cutting blade. So I think that's pretty much it, isn't it, Joel, from us today?
Yeah. It's about lunchtime for us now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. Yeah. So,
but just tipped. If anybody's got any questions, we'd love to hear from you. I don't know if you've got our details there, Vince, that you could pop up.
I haven't just to hand here, but what we'll do is we'll pop it on the comments underneath the YouTube post, and we'll also put it on as a comments underneath the LinkedIn post, so you've got details there. But more than happy to talk about any of your projects at any time, aren't we? So we're here to help. Absolutely.
Yeah, as I say, today's just mainly been around the render side of things, but any questions about fibre cement boards, what we do, whether you're wondering whether our boards will work for your project, you want to be a stockist, you want to find the stockist, whatever, just give us a shout. We'll point you in the right direction.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And don't forget to follow us on our social media channels. Just before I go, get that plug in. So just follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. And then we'll watch out because we're about to launch a Facebook channel and a few other channels as well. So watch this space for further social media activity. and we'll see you on the next live event. Thank you very much, all. We'll see you later.
Thank you. See you.